You're hard to talk to with that wall around you. Don't look at me that way. What can I do to build that bridge to find you? I don't know what to say. Come on and open up my love. Why don't you tell me what's really on your mind? Come on and open up my love. Tell me what you need so we don't have this fight. Come on and open up my love. I know it's a front you've been hiding behind. Come on and open up my love. Why don't you tell me what's really on your mind? I know you want to do that thing you always do. You get in your head. When that door stays shut, it puts this space between us. You make it hard to guess. Come on and open up my love. Why don't you tell me what's really on your mind? Come on and open up my love. Tell me what you need so we don't have this fight. Come on and open up my love. I know it's a front you've been hiding behind. Come on and open up my love. Why don't you tell me what's really on your mind? Hello, open up. Hello, open up. Yeah, open up.
Good. Hello, hello. You hear me? Great. Good morning. Guten Morgen. Good morning. Do you say it? Goedemorgen. Golden day in Icelandic. Welcome to Drupaljam 2024. So, my name is Baddy. Baddy Sonja Breidert. I come from Iceland and I'm the moderator of the day. That means that I'm going to keep everything on time because I live in Germany. So that's where I learned there. Thank you to the organization team for making this amazing event happening. Everywhere. So for the past 6 years, I've been part of the Drupal Association. So if you have any questions about the Drupal Association, we are a few people here from the board, from the Drupal Association. Apart from that, I have a Drupal agency not in Iceland, partly in Iceland, but also in Germany called OneX Internet. We are almost 100 people, and we build amazing Drupal solutions every day, just like many of you, almost all of you probably. So let's get to the topic of the day. Let's start by thanking all of our sponsors. We are going to look at 3 videos, so let's play 3 videos from our sponsors. Woohoo! So we are going to see more sponsor videos coming up today. So they're going to be played before some of the other sessions. But let's go through the list. Swiss Platinum sponsor, all of our gold sponsors, thank you. We have more gold sponsors, thank you. Then we have silver sponsors and media partner. Thank you, and give them all a great applause. So the media partner of today is the Drop Times. If you're not already reading that, make sure you check it out. So let's talk about the program. We have a full program at Drupaljam today. And you can find it on drupal.nl/program. So some sessions are 45 minutes, others are 25 minutes. And we will start with the opening keynote from the one and only Dries. And he's going to be talking about the past, present, and future of Drupal. So I hope that he's going to tell us a little bit about Starshot, let's say. And all of you, you have in your seat, there's a Starshot sticker, so please take it with you. Then we are going to have open up sessions. So open up sessions are going to happen in the room next door. So the open up sessions are more like a feature session. One is at 11:35, the past, present, and future of open source. So we have actually colleagues from our open source. I see Matthias, I see you here. We have more of you. So there's going to be a full-packed session there. Also, if we don't have time to ask Dries questions after his talk, this is the place where we can actually have time to ask questions. Then after lunch, 1:20, there's going to be talks about Drupal in Europe, which is going to be led by some of the people who are involved in European local associations and more. At 4:20, we have the closing keynote by Rens van der Vost, and he's going to be having a fun talk about our relationship with technology, so make sure you don't miss that. That's going to take place here on this stage. The 20th anniversary, so this is the 20th edition of Drupaljam. That's amazing. So there's going to be a barbecue, and if you have a sticker, hamburger sticker on your badge, it means that you have signed up for that. Unfortunately, it is sold out, so we can't really take any more new people into that because we don't have that much food. But to talk about sold out, we are sold out today, 350 people, almost. So thank you all for coming and making a sold out event. Woohoo! All right. So I sometimes get mistaken by this one, because we are both, from the north, tall, blonde. No, it's not possible to get mistaken by this one because Bert is going to lead our Drupaljam pub quiz. He's been doing that for many years, and I hope that we have some difficult questions this year. Yes. So the pub quiz is sponsored by Drupal Tech Talks. And Drupal Tech Talks is organized by Swiss finalists Synetic and React Online. Thank you for doing that. And make sure you attend all of that. So then we have the most important thing, Wi-Fi. This is the Wi-Fi and the code to get into the Wi-Fi. Free for everyone, so just make sure you sign up for that. And if you are doing that, look at the code of conduct and make sure you're nice today. I don't doubt it, but just make sure that you're nice. You're nice to others. What is important is that we are going to be taking photos and images all day. And if you have a white lanyard, that will mean that we will afterwards, when we go through all the photos, not publish a photo with you online. So if you don't want to be on any of these photos, make sure you get the white lanyard out there. What is also important to say is that all of you, when you are posting, because you need to post all day about this event, just please be considerate of the white lanyards, okay? And not post it online. So, which means hashtag Drupaljam, that's the place. So don't, please post as much as you can, because we want to tell the world about what we are doing here. And yes, we have the person who is organizing, or we have a lot of people who are organizing DrupalCon Barcelona 2024, but we have the program lead here from Kuoni. Stand up and say hi. Hey. And what she did is that she brought this one. And that's an important person because you remember maybe from other conferences that we give tickets out to the Drupal camps. So there's one, you can win one ticket to DrupalCon Barcelona. And what you need to do is that you need to meet, take Mercy. He's gonna, or they are gonna be around. So you can take a selfie and take a photo, and if the more creative you are, the better. So please do that, post it online, follow this here, and then you can go in the list of getting free tickets. All right, we want to be on time, and we want to give Dries also time here. So we are going to start the program. I was thinking a lot about how to introduce Dries, right? It's hard, because you all know who he is, right? So what about telling you something that you don't know about Dries? So we have found out a couple of things about Dries in the past. So number one, he lives in Antwerp. He also lives in Boston. Maybe all of you know that. He also has this company called Acquia. You'll probably also know that. But when he was young, he created a skateboard ramp in his garden to be able to do skateboarding. So if you are having your skateboards here, he's the guy. He also plays a lot of tennis, and he's also built a boat. So he sails, and he's built a boat together with his dad and his brother, so his family. So make sure today not only speak about Drupal to Dries, because he has also a lot of other hobbies, but I think he's going to talk about Drupal today. So Dries, come on up here and let's start.
Yeah. Thank you. Awesome, thank you. Alrighty. Good morning. Goedemorgen allemaal. It's nice to be here. It's been a while. I think I've been at this event, Drupaljam, I think twice, maybe once virtual. I saw actually in the video, and it was really nice. I don't think I've ever been presenting with smoke machines, so that is kind of cool. And I also like Drupaljam because I don't feel so tall all the time. You know, that's probably why it's one of my favorite Drupal events. As Baddy said, I'm going to talk a little bit about the past, the present, and the future. And I'm going to be here all day. I'm going to be at the pub quiz. I hope I can participate. I can? Yes, great. I say that because, as you might know, at DrupalCons we do trivias. And the first times I would show up and I would help our team win. And then they introduced this huge penalty. If I joined a team, they got like minus whatever points, and then I would walk around and nobody wanted me in their team, which was kind of sad. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to participate, and then I'll be here for the barbecue as well. So if you have questions, by all means, just stop me, come talk to me. I'd love to meet you and learn from you all of these things. As Baddy said, I'm here to talk about Drupal. As most of you know, as all of you know probably by now, I started the Drupal project. I started it in Antwerp, in my dorm room. I was a student back then. I wanted to build a message board for me and my friends. PHP and MySQL were brand new, and I figured I would spend a couple nights building a message board for like 4 or 5 of my friends. And those couple of nights, you know, it turned into this huge accident that ended up being Drupal. And now I've been working on it for probably like 24 years, which is quite special and not something I would ever expect to do. Here's actually a photo of me before I had spiky hair. Not sure what happened. But it's an old photo, as you can tell. And as I mentioned, I started Drupal for myself. I was just scratching my own itch. I was very obsessed with making the code very elegant. And here you see a photo of me in my dorm where I started Drupal. And then eventually, I'm not going to tell the whole story because I think many of you know it. Eventually, I ended up open sourcing Drupal. And about a year in, do you know who this person is on the photo? Raise your hand if you know this person. Wow, great. Nobody knows. That's excellent. So this is Jeremy Andrews. He runs a Drupal company called Tag1, which I'm sure you may have heard of. And so I'll spend a couple of minutes telling this story because I think it's a great little fact that apparently you don't know. But back in the day, Linux was very hot. People would talk about Linux all the time. There was a website called Slashdot. Have you heard of Slashdot? It was like a technology blog, and there was this famous thing called the Slashdot effect. So every time you got linked on Slashdot, pretty much guaranteed that your site would go down because of all of the traffic that you would get from Slashdot. And back in the day, hosting was pretty easy and pretty simple and wasn't really scalable. And so these websites would just like crash. People would get crazy bills from hosting companies for this traffic. And so Jeremy had a website that I loved, and it was called Kernel Trap. And he would blog about Linux kernel developments. And he would get on Slashdot probably every week. And every time, his site would crash. And it was built on Postnuke, which was, at the time, sort of a Drupal competitor. And so I emailed Jeremy. You can see the email on the screen. And I said, if you migrate to Drupal, I promise you, your site will not crash. And here's the root password of my own Drupal site. You can log in, try it out, and see if you like it. And Jeremy liked it, and he decided to convert his website to Drupal. And of course, the first time he gets on Slashdot, guess what happened? It crashed. But we started working together, and we built some modules, and we made some optimizations. And after we implemented those, we implemented like throttle module, which was in core for a long time, which basically would dynamically turn off features as traffic increased to your website. All of a sudden, his website worked on Slashdot, which got us some really good press and some momentum, all of these things, which was a huge success story. Now, fast forward, that one email to Jeremy led to Jeremy starting a company. He has about 100 employees. He employs core contributors. Like that one email resulted in like 23 years of contribution from many, many people. It's incredible. And it really was quite special. And it continues to be quite special to this day. Drupal kept growing, and I ended up co-organizing the first DrupalCon in Antwerp. I'm sure many of you have seen this photo. I couldn't believe, 30 or 40 people would show up to talk about Drupal for a week. Like, I wouldn't really talk about Drupal to anyone. Like, I didn't think it was that interesting. I didn't think my friends would want to know about Drupal. So I just worked on Drupal at night, on the weekends, just quietly. And so all of a sudden, 30 people show up in Antwerp, and they want to talk about Drupal all week. That was very strange, but also very exciting, and eventually led to us creating the Drupal Association. It was our nonprofit organization, is our nonprofit organization. And the Drupal Association was really started to help us put together events, like DrupalCons. Like, I organized those, or helped organize those without any kind of organization, and I put all the sponsorships and ticket sales all on my personal checking account, and at some point, that's no longer a good idea. And so we started the Drupal Association. By 2007, more and more large organizations started to use Drupal. And I remember I was a student still back then. I was doing a PhD in computer science, nothing to do with Drupal, but at night, I would help these organizations free of charge to make their website successful. MTV had switched to Drupal, which is kind of a big deal. And I was so proud of that, but also they had issues. And so I would jump on conference calls. This was before Zoom and Skype, where we actually had to dial numbers and join international phone calls, these kinds of things, and it would help them make their Drupal website successful. And I had a lot of conviction at the time that in order for Drupal to be successful, I needed to help start a company that would be to Drupal what Red Hat was to Linux and provide commercial-grade support. And so I ended up co-founding Acquia back in 2007. And so I'm telling you all of these things because I went through this personal journey where I started Drupal for myself. And I just cared about the code. I wanted the code of Drupal to be so perfect and so elegant that I would spend a lot of my time working on that. And then eventually, like with Jeremy Andrews and others, I really started to care about contributors. I moved beyond caring about the code and just building something for myself to building something for others. And I really wanted to help contributors be successful. And it's why we created the Drupal Association, as an example. And eventually, I started caring about end users, like the MTVs of the world, which I didn't care about, obviously, in the early days. And then something amazing happened. This is a photo of DrupalCon San Francisco in 2010. 3,000 people show up at DrupalCon San Francisco. And I was doing the Dries note, the opening keynote, and this wasn't part of my plan, it wasn't in my scripts, but somehow I ended up asking, please stand up if Drupal changed your life. And like 3,000 people stood up. And it was this like massive, massive goosebump moment for everyone in the audience. It was very, very special. And it's something I will never forget, actually. It was like very, very unique, memorable moments. But it also made me think a lot after, because I didn't know any of these people, or very few of these people. And so it really made me care about all of these people that I don't know. And that feeling for me continued to evolve to today. I really feel like optimizing for impact means caring about people you don't know. And that, for me, led to being very passionate about the open web, which is building a web that's there for everyone, that's safe, that is accessible, inclusive, all of these things. And so my personal journey, again, is from caring about myself, building Drupal just for myself and maybe a handful of friends, to caring about contributors, to caring about end users, and ultimately now caring about the open web and the impact that Drupal can have on the world. If you think about it, 1 in 30 websites run on Drupal. That means that everybody that's on the web and visits 30 websites, statistically will hit a Drupal site. And so pretty much everyone that browses the web will, I imagine, at some point use a Drupal site or be a visitor of a Drupal site. And so that's a lot of responsibility. If we can make all of these sites work well, make them fast, accessible, safe, secure, that's a great contribution, I think, to safeguarding the future of the web. And so you're probably somewhere along this journey as well. Like some of you might be building Drupal sites for a living, and maybe that's all you care about. Providing for you and your family, and that's great. That's perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. But I hope that at some point in your journey, you will also start caring about other contributors, and most likely you do, because you wouldn't be here at a Drupaljam, to caring about end users and then caring about the open web. So I hope you find satisfaction and reward in any of these, really. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the present. And I'll keep it brief. But I mentioned 1 in 30 websites-ish run on Drupal. If you look at the enterprise segment, it's 1 in 8 websites. And I think we're incredibly lucky in how many amazing brands and organizations use Drupal. We have logos that no other CMS in the world has. And I have a quick video that I'll play about that.
Think for a moment of the brands and companies shaped by Drupal. The power brands. The makers. The institutions. The cultural icons that unite us. the ones that make us sing, carry us away. The agile, the resilient, and the ones who support them. The developers, the millions across the globe, the marketers, the front line behind the glass, the road warriors, the people out in the wild fighting every day, the agencies, the masters of strategy and emotion. So what do all these people have in common? The digital platform that powers some of the most exciting experiences on the web. Drupal.
Yeah, not only have we have amazing logos, but we have such a large community of people contributing to Drupal. Like, this is a list of the names of people that contributed like in the last year or so. If you contributed to Drupal, your name is probably on here. Maybe raise your hands if you've contributed to Drupal in the last year. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your contributions. Thousands of people, over 1,000 organizations contributing to Drupal as well. It's pretty remarkable, the size of community that we have and what we're doing together. And we're so good at so many things in Drupal. And maybe we don't talk enough about that as a community, but I think about things like headless. We actually started investing in headless, I think it was 2017. And in fact, we had web services APIs long before 2017, but in 2017, we decided to move it into core. And this was before headless was called headless. So we've had a lot of these capabilities for a long time. Low code, no code, huge buzzword right now, but Drupal had low code, no code back in 2002, over 20 years ago. People came to Drupal because we empowered site builders to build things in Drupal without having to develop everything in code. We have one of the best performance and caching systems in the world with things like cache tags. Still today, I don't think any other CMS has the kind of performance and caching infrastructure that Drupal has. And I don't know, there's a lot of people that probably have never heard of things like cache tags and the other things that we do. Multilingual, I think, is a great example as well. Drupal being born in Belgium, a multilingual country, we've always been really good at this. The website for European Commission runs on Drupal. As you might know, I don't know if you do, but it's translated in over 20 different languages. It's one of the most complex websites, one of the most multilingual websites in the world, with very complex multilingual workflows, because some content can only be posted if it's translated in X languages. Other content might be posted when it's translated in, maybe the main languages, that kind of stuff. AI-powered. We have OpenAI integration. I think it was within a month of OpenAI launching ChatGPT. We were literally one of the first CMSs to support it, and we continue to improve these capabilities as well. Accessibility is obviously very important now. I think next year here in Europe, what's it called? The European Accessibility Act will come to life, I guess. But we've made a commitment to accessibility many, many years ago. A formal commitment to make Drupal accessible out of the box. And we've spent hundreds of hours, hundreds of days, actually, working on improving Drupal accessibility. So Drupal is incredible at so many things. I don't think we spend enough time talking about it. But, and I know you know, again, I think most of you know because you're here, but what about the millions of web developers that don't know? We should find ways to tell them, right? And then there's also the impact that Drupal has on people. Every event that I go to, every week, there's emails in my inbox about the profound impact that Drupal has had on individual people's lives. And if you watch my keynote, from DrupalCon Portland a month ago. I've actually featured Esmeralda. Is she here, actually? I don't know. There you are. Thank you for telling your story. Yeah. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I can tell you, first time I saw that video, I had tears in my eyes. Like, I had tears in my eyes thinking about the impact that people, that Drupal has had on people. And, you know, Esmeralda's story is so powerful, and it's only one story, but there's thousands of stories of people that have been impacted positively by Drupal. And for me, when I wake up in the morning, I'm fortunate that I can wake up in the morning and think, what do I want to work on today? You know, and I think about the impact that Drupal has on people, and I choose the things that I do because it actually helps so many people around the world. And so I feel very passionate about Drupal and what it can do to organizations, to people, all of these things, that I've really been thinking about how do we scale that impact. Like, we have such an important mission, we have such an important role, also in helping to promote and safeguard the web. You know, we need the web to be open. We need the web to be secure, safe, scalable, secure, performant. And it's not something that we can take for granted. Like, it's something that we need to work on, and not just Drupal, but other CMSs as well. And so, in my final section, I want to talk a little bit about Drupal's future and how I think we can kind of multiply that impact that we have. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Starshot. You might have seen my Dries note from DrupalCon Portland just about a month ago. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm also going to talk about what we've done since DrupalCon Portland. So let's do that. So I'm not going to do the whole Dries note again, but I'm going to highlight a few of the key slides. So this is a slide that I used in the Dries note, and this is actually based on user research that we did a couple years ago. And what's going on this slide is that we basically interviewed different CMS users, people using different CMSs, and we asked them how much they like their CMS. We also asked them how long, if they consider themselves an expert or a beginner or intermediate. And what you can see on the chart is that people that are new to Drupal, they don't really are that excited about Drupal. You know, there's a steep learning curve, it's confusing, it's a bit complex. But then what you see is as they gain experience with Drupal, they start to love and love and love it more. So the arrow is going up to the right. And that was the exact opposite that people that use other CMSs told us. Like, very often they would fall in love with their CMS as a beginner, but as they gained more and more experience, they grew more and more frustrated by their CMS. And I think it's a telling chart because it shows the potential that we have. It shows the opportunity that we can unlock by improving the experience of new users and beginners. We can make them fall in love with Drupal from the beginning, you know, and they grow, they're going to keep loving it. And so all of this led me to basically declaring that the most important thing for us to do right now is making Drupal easier to use, especially for beginners, and especially for what I call site builders. And site builders are not senior developers. Site builders are people like content creators and marketers, people that want to use low-code, no-code solutions, because that's where we have a lot of opportunity, and that's also the people that are increasingly responsible for building and delivering websites. And obviously, we've been working on this over the years. This is not something new. We've done things like Claro, Olivero, Umami. I mean, there's a long list of different things that we've done, but we haven't done enough, because otherwise that chart would look different, and it doesn't yet. And so we have more to do. And so in the Dries note, if you haven't seen it, you can go watch it, but I make this analogy with sort of the Americans falling behind in the space race, and President JFK making this bold kind of statement that they want the US to be the first to put a person on the moon, and then they succeed, obviously. And so I make the moonshot analogy in my Dries note, like we need our moonshot, you know, and our moonshot is going to be making Drupal easy out of the box. And not just that, but also to tell the world about it, to do more marketing. Because as I mentioned, what about the million of developers that don't know about Drupal and all of the great things that Drupal has? And so that led me to introduce essentially Drupal Starshot in the Dries note. And it was very well received, I would say, and it was a big announcement because in the 23 or 24 years of Drupal's history, we've never announced something like this. Like, this is unique and different, if you will. And if you don't know what it is, it's essentially a new version of Drupal. For the first time in 23 years, we're going to have a new version of Drupal focused on the site builders and focused on delivering a great out-of-the-box experience. To help you understand that a little bit, we created this kind of wireframe. And so imagine this is the download page on Drupal.org. We're going to add a second version. It's called Drupal CMS here, which Starshot is a code name. Drupal CMS might be the product name. And we've asked the Drupal Association to promote it over Drupal core. That's why it's bigger, for example. And so we want to drive all people to Drupal CMS. And we're going to target these site builders and people new to Drupal. We're going to recommend it for most new Drupal sites. But we still keep Drupal core. And Drupal core will be more like a framework for maybe people with more experience that want to do things the way they want to do things. So we're not taking anything away. We're just adding a way of building Drupal sites. Let's see. I showed some wireframes. We also want to change the installer of Drupal, because one of the design criteria is you should be able to build a Drupal site without having to use the command line, which is a big deal, as you know, because right now you have to use the command line quite a bit. And then we want to revamp the installation experience by integrating project browser, recipes, and parts of automatic updates. And in the installation experience, we want to ask people what they want to build. Like you can see a little bit in the screenshot, depending on what they select, we will pull in contributed modules into the installation. And so Starshot is also a way to elevate and to highlight a lot of the great innovations that exist in Contrib and almost make them official, if you will. For years, we've talked about golden Contrib and all these kinds of things, and this is sort of a realization of some of these ideas that have existed for a long time. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So, we've been working on this. Here you can see some of the key ingredients or building blocks. So, again, we're going to use recipes, which is a new concept in Drupal. It just landed in Drupal core, actually. I'm going to show it to you in a second. But recipes basically can pull in contributed modules. They can enable them. They can add configuration, so they can configure modules. They can also add default content to websites, or any content to websites. And again, we want to evolve the installer. As you install Drupal, we'll drop you into the project browser, which is basically our app store, if you want to think about it that way. And then in the app store, we're going to be opinionated about certain recipes that we want people to discover and potentially install. So I think the next slide is actually a quick video. So we spent a couple of weeks prototyping this. So let's have a quick look.
High-quality solutions for many building tasks. So we gave some space to a couple people to see how far they can get building a prototype of Starshot in roughly 2 weeks. And now you can try this out using a one-line composer command. While this runs in the background, let's see how it was built. You may know about distributions, which are packaged Drupal solutions, but Starshot is based on the new recipes concept. We have not shown yet how these work, but the initiative team has been doing an amazing job improving them. While not ready for core inclusion yet, recipes allow to mix and match various site-building automations without locking you into a distribution. Our prototype uses components from Core's future standard recipes, and it adds many feature recipes as you've seen on the mockups. We don't have a UI to select them yet, but events, forums, blogs are all here as components that are mixed in. And recipes are easy to build. For example, the admin theme recipe adds coffee module, the gin theme, the gin toolbar, navigation module, and imports their configuration. Finally, it enables gin as an admin theme. We also added some sample content to Starshot for now, which is served by a recipe as well. Once the command finishes, you end up on the Starshot default page with the sample content imported. But what could be in Starshot? The new experimental navigation module is actually already in Drupal core. It provides a modern way to manage Drupal with in-depth navigation options and shortcuts to create key content. It is possible to reorder and replace the navigation blocks shown or add more elements. You can also tuck it away if you don't have enough space. But you can also use the coffee module to teleport to specific pages very fast. For example, to configure the gin admin theme to use dark mode with starlight accents. The gin admin theme also provides a very streamlined content editing experience. For example, you can put your metadata away if you want to focus on launching your new page. We added Linkit for easy content linking, so I can cross-link to the NASA test launch event that is actually happening later today, since we also have it on the site using our event recipe. We've added various content improvements like moderation, meta tags, pre-configured for sharing, content scheduling, automatic path aliases, and various other features through our recipes. Finally, we also added web forms so we can ask the really important questions from the audience. This is just a quick proof of concept. Components will be evaluated and refined by the initiative team from a product and usability perspective to provide the best starting point in our new default download on Drupal.org.
Yeah. What do you think? Exciting? Yeah? It's a work in progress, obviously. That was built in 2 weeks, but it hopefully shows you some of the things that we are thinking about. And obviously there was a lot of command line action here, which is not meant to be in the final product. But a lot of the building blocks have actually gotten quite far. And it's almost like the stars are aligning in terms of the readiness of Project Browser, automatic updates, recipes, and some other pieces. And now we can actually bring it together and make a really cool product. So this has also become my priority. Since coming back from DrupalCon, I've been working on this 4 or 5 hours a day of my personal time. I've made some changes at Acquia, where I shedded, if you will, a lot of different themes that were reporting into me to other people. So I freed up my time to make this my priority. I feel so passionate about this and so important for Drupal to re-energize and re-accelerate Drupal's growth in the market that I'm going to be spending a lot of my personal time on this. So pretty excited about it. We also had a pledge in the Dries note. So I put some stickers and Baddy helped, but we put stickers on your chairs. But at DrupalCon, I put that sticker on people's chairs. And there's this white box where people could write down how they want to help with Starshot. And I also put up this QR code and link where people could pledge digitally how they're going to help with Starshot. And almost 400 people pledged to help. It's been amazing, kind of the groundswell that this has created. Coming back from DrupalCon, we've been organizing all kinds of things. Like this week, we're doing 3 Zoom meetings. Have you heard about these meetings or not? Yeah, some people, but not many. But we're really onboarding hundreds of people to help with this. So this week we had a Zoom around Project Browser, getting people up to speed on what it is, enabling people to contribute to it. Yesterday, we had one on recipes, was attended by more than 100 people. Some have been attended by more than 200 people. On Friday, we have one on automatic updates. We'll have another one on Experience Builder next week. So we're really putting a lot of time and effort in, kind of training everybody to contribute to this. So they're all recorded, so you can go watch them if you're interested, either in learning more about it or contributing to these initiatives. So marketing is another key piece that we need to do. And so we've been working on that as well. At the end of last year, we announced that we have a marketing committee, and the marketing committee has been working on a marketing plan. We've already executed some of these things, but one of the things that we've been working on is a refresh of the Drupal brand. Like, people ask me, like, how do we get more people into Drupal? What about younger people that come right out of school? And one of the things that we need to do is make Drupal.org better and more interesting and refresh our brand. So we did a brand audit, interviewed people, kind of updated the brand, and so I have a quick video to show you that as well. Yeah, pretty cool. I'm excited for it. All of this is available online. It's obviously not rolled out yet. It was kind of a soft launch, if you will, where we made the brand guidelines available. It's all available on Drupal.org/marketing. You should expect to see that come to life in the next 6 months or so. Like, we're updating Drupal.org. It will take the new brand into account. You are all invited to start using the new brand today, if you want. We didn't stop there. Actually, the marketing committee also worked on pitch decks, messaging guides to, how do we appeal to more audiences, like content marketers, content creators, not just sort of developers. We tested this new brand at Web Summit, one of probably the largest web developer conference in the world. Baddy was there. We had a booth representing Drupal. It was using the new brand as a test. And I wasn't there myself, but it was really well received. People loved the new brand. Lots of people coming up to the booth and saying, hey, didn't know Drupal was still alive, or saying like, wow, that looks very cool. So we're going to try and scale this to more events all around the world, including non-web developer events and marketing events. So we're really trying hard to get out there and put Drupal on the map. As I mentioned, people really loved the brand update and star shots. There's been so many blog posts, so many tweets. We've had all of these webinars, people joining up in large amounts. So we've been really busy trying to organize all of these people. Like, we literally have a list of 400 plus people that pledged to help, and they as they pledged, they said, I want to help with this, that, and this. I have skills. These are my skills. How can I help? And so we've been doing a lot of work in the background to try and get all of that organized. And you'll start to see that come to life in the next few weeks. I mentioned we're already doing these webinars, but we also announced a leadership team for the Starshot initiative last week, which is really great. These are all people that are incredible Drupalists, have been around for a long time. And as I said, we're meeting almost every day for hours to try and get everything organized. Right now, what we're trying to do, and I won't go into all of the nitty-gritty details, but what we're trying to do is like define the product strategy. What is Starshot? What are the features we need? We're doing that in a user-centric approach with user research and design. And then we're breaking that down into components, work packages. We're calling these tracks. And the idea is that we're going to activate these 400 plus people to take ownership of multiple tracks. As well, working with the Drupal Association, we've already redesigned the Drupal Association Partner Program. We now have something called Certified Drupal Partners. It's been around for a little while, but we updated the program such that it's no longer sufficient to give money to the Drupal Association, but in addition to money, you also have to contribute code or time or talent, anything other than money. So we're basically going to match the certified partners with these work packages or tracks in the next few weeks. And we really are trying to build something exciting and new that's going to reinvigorate parts of Drupal, and we're doing it in a new way. Like, it's not just about building a new product, it's also about rethinking how we might innovate and how we might collaborate at a scale that we haven't done so before. So it's pretty exciting from that way as well. And so we've started organizing all of the things we need to do in epics. First, epic installation. For each of these epics, we have a bunch of user stories. Maybe I'll read you a couple of them, but like the first one, it's maybe a little small, but as a new Drupal user, I want to easily discover Drupal Starshot on Drupal.org. I want to learn about its features. Excuse me. I want to compare it to other solutions. I want to download Drupal Starshot and then install it. Wow, must be all the smoke. It's going to get worse with the barbecue. Even more smoke. Just kidding. Or the second one, as a new Drupal user, I want a trial experience, a proper trial experience for Drupal, because the Try Drupal experience that we have now basically launches people in hosting companies, which is great to trial hosting, but it's not exactly a trial for Drupal. If you're a marketer, you want to see the authoring experience. You don't necessarily want to see how you configure a CDN, right? And so a proper trial experience. And so from these user stories, we've then kind of breaking it down in tracks. I'll give you one example, but track one, well, we need to figure out how to change Drupal.org. We need to wireframes and designs. We need to implement all of the necessary changes on Drupal.org, from updating the download page to something like what I showed in that wireframe, to adding like an informational section or a product marketing section on Starshot, to adding installation guides, to do we need to update the main page even? I don't know. Lots to figure out. That's a track or a work package that could go to an agency that is maybe willing to contribute 2 or 3 people for 3 months, or that can go to a group of volunteers. For each of these tracks, we plan to assign a track lead, like a person that can make decisions on this track and drive it. So that, just to give you an idea of how we're going about it. So this is just for the installation. We've done the same thing for configuration. We have these user stories and we have these tracks that we're identifying. So like one of the big next things is, what are all the recipes that we want Drupal Starshot to have? There's some obvious ones, like we think people want contact forms as an example. So that's going to be a recipe. And so we're going to announce, starting this week, the kinds of recipes we want people in the community to build. And this week we'll start with some obvious ones, like maybe contact forms. And then in the next few weeks, we're going to continue to do user research and work on product strategy to then announce the second set of recipes we want people to work on. And for each of these recipes, we want to maybe do a little bit of user research. What do we need? We want to do some usability testing. We need to build the recipe. They might need a little bit of documentation. So each of these recipes is something that any of you could build or contribute to or even own as a track lead. All right, so stay tuned for more details on that. So if you want to get involved, you only need to know one thing, which is drupal.org/starshot. You can actually skip the about as well. It will auto-redirect. But drupal.org/starshot, it has all the information. The Zoom sessions we're doing, it has lists of issues and Starshot blockers. It points you to Slack channels, to meetings. So if you want to get involved, that's where you go. And with that, I want to wrap it up, actually. So thank you for attending this keynote. I think you have maybe a couple of minutes for questions, 1 or 2 questions, and then, as I said, I'll be around all day. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have a lot of questions, but what about you? Come on.
Don't be shy. You can ask other questions too.
I have a mic.
Like I was at this event once, and nobody asked a question, and all of a sudden somebody's like, "What hair product do you use?" Yeah. And so it doesn't have to be about Starshot. It could be about my skateboard, I guess.
It's adjacent. So
okay.
Starshot is very much focused on fostering Drupal adoption, which I think is really good and needed as well. Mm-hmm. But it also brings a lot of technical development challenges that we'll have to face. If we look at Drupal 8, then we did a lot of work to get off the island. Mm-hmm. But I also think there's now a lot of focus on bringing people from site builders to developers, which is important. But we run the risk, if we stick within our community, to reinvent the wheel. And one of the things I feel is missing a bit in this story is also attracting development talent from other languages and maybe even figuring out how we can reverse the downward trend of PHP popularity. So how do you think Starshot can fit within this, and what else can we do to bring that talent into this initiative?
That's a great question, and I think we do that by just evolving the tools that we use. You know, like as we build parts of Starshot, we can use tools like JavaScript, right? And like actually, I think Project Browser is actually using JavaScript framework mostly, and so that is like a logical way to go about it, I think, and so that will attract different people. I will say, like PHP, for 20 years, people have been telling me PHP is dead or PHP is dying, and if you look at the market share, it's been quite robust. But at the same time, I understand that maybe young people out of school, they don't necessarily flock to PHP, right? They get more exposure to JavaScript-based technology. So it's important to evolve our tools, I think. And so we can do that as part of Starshot.
It's been getting so much better as a language too. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Any more questions? One more. Yes.
Question here.
I see as a problem to contribute to the Drupal community, I mean not the community, to the whole ecosystem, is the way that patches or new modules or themes are adopted. To me it seems that the whole process of acknowledging that something is good and the patch is working is usually for a long time in line. For instance, I had a patch on a Drupal 7 and it's still in the progress of being approved while I'm in Drupal 7. So is there any kind of initiative that will change and make it faster, more transparent about what the process is, what it's needed to publish a new module?
Yeah, it's a good question. So like it's actually something that we have been focused on, and there are a number of different initiatives that we're working on. But like I've been meeting with the core committers, regularly, and it's one of the key things that we talk about is like how can we sort of accelerate, like contribution from the moment it's contributed to, committing it, if you will, or saying no, because sometimes we have to say no too. And we're kind of analyzing where the bottlenecks are, and then we're trying to systematically remove bottlenecks. And so that already has led to a number of changes in our tools, like even the whole conversion to GitLab, from our own homegrown tools to GitLab, and then now leveraging better CI/CD pipelines that helps, better automatic testing of patches. We're going to embrace more features of GitLab to like ping people and better notification of different reviewers. It also has led to governance changes, like policy changes. Like we used to be pretty strict about things like, well, at least 2 other core committers need to sign off on the patch before it can be committed. We've kind of loosened up some of these things already, at least for a core. So I don't think there's like a magic solution to it, but we're using a little bit like a Pareto-style approach where we try to be smart about what are the top 5 sort of things that slow contribution down, and then we try to address sort of the most important ones. And then once we have addressed those, there's like 5 new ones, so it's like never done. But we've created a lot of awareness around it, and we are trying to make changes. And I think, when I talk to contributors, they actually do mention it's getting better. That there's like a positive, trend, I guess. I'm not saying it's all perfect and all solved, but there's been quite a few changes just in the last 1 year.
Yes, and not just to forget the Drupal Association's part here. This is one of the main things that the Drupal Association does, is actually to optimize these things as well, based on the needs of the project. So there's been an initiative going on also in the Drupal Association where the engineering team is actually trying to like help with the onboarding of like you log in and automated messages and all this stuff. So it's a cooperation. So that's one of the big topics for the Drupal Association.
It's a big focus. Yeah. And I think your question makes me realize we may have to explain this better to people because it's maybe not well understood, all of the things that are happening. So I'll take that away as one of the things we need to do. Yeah.
So that brings us to time, because we want to have coffee, right?